All good. So yeah, how have we got to this point today then, Nick? Because this is, I suppose, consistent journalism on your part, isn't it? Explain to me how we got here.
Yeah, well, we broke the news on Friday, 6 days ago, with a video blog. I did the research in the judicial grep and realised there was an issue here, and that about half the state's members are non-compliant.
Before, I suppose it was the sort of what's been circulating in the media, what in terms of sort of public knowledge, we've only really heard about 3 candidates, 2 elected politicians, 1 candidate I suppose didn't get in. So you basically exposed the fact that it's not just these 3, we're talking about dozens of more candidates in this case.
Indeed, and the media's been sitting on this issue for 6 days because they would have seen those videos and nothing about it. It's only now when the Attorney General does a press release the issue suddenly appears.
Yeah, what is your response to what the Attorney General said?
Well, it's utter incompetence. We need, on the part of the Law Officers Department, and we need full clarification. We need all the persons named, all the candidates who are non-compliant, explaining why, and the Attorney General needs to give further clarification for his reasons, because it seems that there's no rule of law in Jersey.
There will be people, members of the public, I suppose, watching this saying, these are rules, they've been broken. If I didn't have my forms in on time, taxes, whatever, I would pay a fine, I would be punished.
Well, let's say there had been 3 murders and the law officers were prosecuting it, and suddenly it's discovered there's in fact 10 murders, and then the Attorney General decides, well, we're going to prosecute anyway.
What is your kind of, what would you like to see happen now going forward?
We need a public inquiry. We've got to have full explanation. We've got to have questions in the House. This has got to be revealed to the public, because the public need to know and have confidence in the election system, in the judiciary, in the state's members, because clearly it affects all bar 1 senator, and I think it affects the majority of the council of ministers.
Would you call for these politicians to lose their seats?
Well, they've got to consider their position. They must remain responsible. What we need is the media to go into the judicial rep over there. They can do the research the same as I did, and let's have a full report, put it on a spreadsheet, get it out there.
And I think FOI is already in place and just try and establish
you don't need to. Everyone has the right, under the law, that particular piece of legislation, to go and ask the judicial rep to show him, to inspect the returns. And you also have a look at 2016 when we had a by-election, and the winning candidate non-compliant. Go back to 2014, lots of non-compliance, but no one followed it up.
Thank you.
Nick, you essentially went in and found this piece of information out, which is now obviously coming into the public domain. We're starting to talk about it. What motivated you? Why were you looking in this area at the state's expenses and the election system?
Well, we revealed this 6 days ago, last Friday, put it out as a video blog, which is available. It's had about 600 hits so far, which is pretty good for Jersey. And so the issue is clearly circulating, has been circulating. The issue is, why did no one pick on it before, until the AG today, last night, released a press release on the issue.
Mike, let's talk about fairness. Is it fair that the 3 men who have been named regarding this expense situation remain the only 3 men
No,
named?
it's not fair. Everybody who's implicated ought to be named. We ought to know more fully about the role of the AG and the judicial graph here, but the voters have got a right to know, has their elected representatives broken the law? They ought to know that.
What does this say about democracy in Jersey, Nick?
Well, we know there isn't. It doesn't exist. It's an authoritarian state where things are suppressed, and only when one forces them to the media's attention do they actually run them. In fact, they only don't do it. It takes the Attorney General himself to do a press release, and only that triggers the reaction.
Thinking about where we're at in this situation, what needs to happen now to, and thinking about some of the Facebook comments we've been getting on the post from yesterday that we put out, talking about this piece of information that you released, what needs to happen to restore some kind of trust in politics in Jersey?
Well, the essential problem is the role of the Crown officers, as has been pointed out many times. It's a historical problem. They are powerful and unaccountable. And in fact, the bailiff sits in the Mr. President, but that shouldn't happen. There's too close a relationship between the judiciary and the executive. This has got to stop. We need full inquiry into this whole matter. We need publication of the emails that went between the Judicial Greffier and the Law Officers Department. It looks just, what's the word? Incompetence. Incompetence.
Specifically, they've taken action against. There are additional people that have submitted their expenses incorrectly, but they've only decided initially to take action against 3.
Well, can we believe that the law officers were so incompetent that they didn't go to the judicial graph and check about the forms of the others? It seems that they didn't. They probably don't even understand the law that they were actually prosecuting under. And they were surprised, apparently, when the defence advocate said, we're going to use the statutory defence. They didn't realise it existed, Article 50.
Bear in mind that the Attorney General's office wanted this law. They wanted it to be enforced. They introduced it. The powers were not strong enough. They wanted that the candidates who did not return their election expenses would lose their seat. They wanted that as an extra power. And when they've got that power, they're not enforcing it. So it makes you wonder, what on earth are they about? If they want the power, this Attorney General is very keen on getting convictions in other areas. He says, I want convictions. But when he's got the opportunity to convict, he doesn't want to pursue it because it's too near the establishment, isn't it? It's going to rock the boat.
The law is more honoured in the breach. The legislation initially came in 2008. It was clear there were a lot of breaches. They toughened up the law in 2014. The Attorney General at that time had written that legislation in conjunction with the BBC. I voted on it when I was a deputy. I remember asking questions about it. I knew exactly what it involved. I knew about Article 18, and you could lose your seat if you didn't put the form in. I put my form in time this time. Every time I'm a candidate, I have not complied. I've known about it, yet half the state's members are indifferent.
I'll tell you how indifferent they are. I bumped into a states member just over there 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago. I asked that states member, have you checked? Are you compliant? Had not even now checked. Did not know whether that states member had filled in the form. Even now, and now this is all round. That's the level of disinterest.
They're suggesting that if the Attorney General did choose to prosecute, it could essentially collapse the government.
Well, temporarily it would, yes.
Well, you'd have another half general election. Why not? And then the public can show their respect or lack of confidence or confidence in those members. It's quite devastating.
I've stood for election, I've put my returns in, there's no great problem. You know, what's the problem?
But it raises questions about the rule of law. You know, it's one rule for us, the ordinary people, one rule for the political elite, the political class. They get the get out of jail card.
Nick's done the research, but I think from his research he's discovered that most of those who are new candidates have sent their returns in. It's the old stagers who are the worst, the ones who've been in the States for some time, the senior politicians. They're the worst offenders. What's that say about them?
7 of the 8 senators elected are non-compliant. It's amazing. Most of the Council of Ministers is non-compliant. What does that say? What is the electorate supposed to think of that? 80% don't vote in elections because they have no respect for the political class.
What's this done for respect? I mean, this has absolutely discredited the whole political system and the judicial system, all in one stroke, master stroke.
What's the Judicial Greffier doing? What's the Attorney General doing? Are they not awake? Are they not paying attention to this legislation? They should have been policing this. Why come up with 3 prosecutions when they should have been prosecuting a lot more? Then they suddenly realise, of course, it implicates the whole political class. Oh, then they've got to pull it.
Gentlemen, I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and thank you for the piece of work that you've done to bring this to the attention of the island, and thanks for talking to me this afternoon.
Thank you.
Nice
The story will roll. I think there's more to come.
Yes, I do agree with you there. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Bye.